big day in New York in former President Trump's hush money trial. Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, taking the witness stand today. ABC's Christian Cordero is live in front of the courthouse with the latest on his testimony. Christian.
Hey there, Philip. Good to be with you. So when it came to former President Donald Trump, Michael Cohen was a self-described attack dog with a law license. He was someone Trump trusted, and today he's testifying against him.
The courtroom went silent this morning when Michael Cohen walked to the witness stand in Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial. Trump's former lawyer, his former fixer, the man who once said he would take a bullet for Donald Trump, is now the prosecution's star witness, and he's providing testimony that could send the former president to prison. The tension in that Manhattan courtroom is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Reporters inside are saying the atmosphere shifted the moment Cohen was sworn in. No pleasantries, no slow buildup. The prosecution went straight for the jugular, diving immediately into the heart of the criminal conspiracy that Trump is accused of orchestrating. And here's what you need to understand. Michael Cohen isn't just any witness. He's the only person alive who can directly connect Donald Trump to the scheme to falsify business records to cover up hush money payments made to silence Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. Cohen made those payments. Cohen created the shell company. Cohen arranged the reimbursement scheme. And Cohen did all of it, according to his testimony, at Trump's explicit direction. This isn't circumstantial evidence. This isn't speculation. This is the man who executed the plan, telling a jury under oath exactly how it happened and who ordered it. Trump is sitting in that courtroom right now, forced to watch as the man who once protected all his secrets spills every single one of them to prosecutors, to the jury, and to the world. And the walls aren't just closing in, they're already locked. Let me explain exactly what's happening in that courtroom, because the stakes couldn't be higher and the testimony couldn't be more damning. Michael Cohen took the stand as the prosecution's star witness in the criminal trial of Donald J. Trump. Trump is charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. The charges stem from a scheme to reimburse Cohen for the $130,000 hush money payment he made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels in October 2016, just days before the presidential election, to keep her from going public about an alleged affair with Trump. The prosecution's theory is straightforward. Trump and Cohen conspired to silence Daniels because her story would have been devastating to Trump's presidential campaign. Cohen paid Daniels out of his own pocket. Then Trump reimbursed him through a series of monthly payments disguised as legal fees. Those payments were recorded in Trump organization books as routine legal expenses, but they were actually reimbursements for hush money, and that's the crime. Falsifying business records becomes a felony in New York when it's done to conceal another crime, in this case potential violations of campaign finance law and election interference. Michael Cohen is the only person who can testify from firsthand knowledge about Trump's direct involvement in this scheme. Cohen was Trump's personal attorney and fixer for over a decade. He handled Trump's most sensitive problems. And in 2016, when Stormy Daniels threatened to go public, Cohen made her disappear, temporarily, by paying her to sign a non-disclosure agreement. According to reporters inside the courtroom, the prosecution wasted no time. They went straight to the meat and potatoes of the case, the hush money payment, the cover-up, and Trump's direct involvement in orchestrating the entire scheme. The atmosphere in the courtroom is described as tense, electric, and intensely focused. Everyone in that room knows this is the moment the entire case has been building toward. Here's where this gets serious, and I need everyone to understand why Michael Cohen's testimony is so critical and so dangerous for Donald Trump. First, this is a criminal trial. Trump is facing 34 felony charges, and if convicted, he could face prison time. This is the first criminal trial of a former president in American history. The outcome isn't theoretical, it's a binary choice. Guilty or not guilty, freedom or incarceration. Second, Michael Cohen is the prosecution's star witness because he's the only witness who can directly tie Trump to the conspiracy. Other witnesses can testify about the payments, the paperwork, the timeline. But only Cohen can testify that Trump personally directed him to pay off Stormy Daniels and then personally approved the scheme to disguise the reimbursements as legal expenses. Without Cohen's testimony, the prosecution's case would be circumstantial. With Cohen's testimony, it becomes a first-hand account of criminal conduct ordered by Trump himself. Third, Cohen's credibility is both the prosecution's greatest strength and its greatest vulnerability. Cohen has already been convicted of lying to Congress. Trump's defense team will attack Cohen mercilessly, painting him as a liar, a convicted felon, and a man motivated by revenge. But the prosecution has spent weeks preparing the jury for Cohen's testimony by calling witnesses who corroborate key elements of his story. And this is the part no one can ignore. If the jury believes Michael Cohen, if they find his testimony credible despite his criminal history, Donald Trump will almost certainly be convicted. The evidence corroborating Cohen's account is extensive. The paper trail is clear. The timeline matches perfectly. All that's missing is proof that Trump himself directed the conspiracy. That's what Cohen provides. That's why his testimony is everything. Let's talk about the specific evidence and testimony that Michael Cohen is providing, because the details are absolutely devastating for Trump. Cohen is testifying about the events of October 2016, when Stormy Daniels was threatening to go public with her story. This was less than a month before the presidential election. The Access Hollywood tape had just been released. Trump's campaign was in crisis mode. Another sex scandal could have been catastrophic. According to Cohen's testimony, Trump was directly involved in the discussions about how to handle Stormy Daniels. Trump directed Cohen to take care of the problem. Cohen set up a shell company called Essential Consultants, LLC, specifically to make the payment. He wired $130,000 to Daniels' attorney just days before the election. After Trump won the presidency, Cohen was reimbursed, but the reimbursement wasn't structured as a simple repayment. According to prosecutors, Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg and Trump himself devised a scheme to reimburse Cohen through monthly payments disguised as legal retainer fees. Cohen would be paid $35,000 per month for 12 months, a total of $420,000. But here's the key. Those payments were recorded in Trump Organization books as payments for legal services. Invoices were created, checks were cut, and all of it was false. Cohen wasn't providing legal services. He was being reimbursed for hush money. The legal services justification was a lie designed to conceal the true nature of the payments, and that's the crime. The prosecution has already introduced evidence showing the checks themselves. Some were signed by Donald Trump personally. The checks are real. The invoices are real. The ledger entries are real. What's false is the description of what the payments were for. And Michael Cohen is testifying that Trump knew exactly what those payments were for because Trump directed the entire scheme. This is first-hand testimony. This is a witness who was in the room, who had the conversations, who executed the plan at Trump's direction. The defense will try to destroy Cohen's credibility, but they can't change the fact that his testimony is supported by an extensive paper trail and corroborated by other witnesses. This exposes a much bigger problem for Trump's legal team because their entire defense strategy is falling apart, as Cohen testifies. Trump's lawyers have tried to argue that Trump had nothing to do with the hush money scheme. They've suggested that Cohen acted on his own, that the payments to Cohen were legitimate legal fees, and that Trump didn't know the payments were actually reimbursements for hush money. But Cohen's testimony obliterates that narrative. He's testifying that Trump was involved every step of the way. Trump knew about the payment to Stormy Daniels. Trump approved it. Trump directed the reimbursement scheme. Trump signed the checks. The defense's backup strategy has been to attack Cohen's credibility. They'll argue he's a convicted liar with a financial motive to attack Trump. All of that is true. Cohen has lied before, he has been convicted of crimes, and he does have reasons to resent Trump. But here's where the prosecution has been brilliant. They've spent weeks building a foundation of corroborating evidence before Cohen ever took the stand. They've called witnesses from the Trump Organization. They've introduced bank records. They've shown the jury the checks Trump signed. They've presented testimony from David Pecker, the former National Enquirer publisher, who participated in a broader scheme with Trump and Cohen. All of this evidence exists independent of Michael Cohen. Cohen isn't asking the jury to just trust him. He's asking them to believe him because everything he says is backed up by documents, by other witnesses, and by Trump's own actions. The prosecution strategy is to make Cohen's testimony the capstone of a case that's already been proven through other means. Let me be absolutely clear about what's at stake for Donald Trump right now. If Michael Cohen's testimony is believed by the jury, Trump will likely be convicted on most or all of the 34 felony counts. The prosecution doesn't need Cohen to prove that the business records were false. What they need Cohen for is to prove that Trump knew the records were false and that he caused them to be false with intent to conceal another crime. Cohen's testimony provides that proof. He's saying Trump knew the payments were reimbursements for hush money, not legal fees. He's saying Trump intended to conceal the payments because they constituted an illegal campaign contribution. That makes the false business records a felony under New York law. If convicted, Trump faces potential prison time. Even if he doesn't go to prison, a conviction would be historically unprecedented. No former president has ever been convicted of a crime. Trump is running for president again in 2024. A criminal conviction, especially one related to election interference and covering up a sex scandal, could be catastrophic for his campaign. The defense will cross-examine Cohen aggressively. They'll argue he's lying, that his testimony is motivated by revenge and financial gain. But the prosecution has prepared for this. They know Cohen's weaknesses. They've structured their case so that Cohen isn't the only evidence. He's the confirming evidence. The timeline is tightening, and Trump's options are narrowing. After the prosecution finishes with Michael Cohen, Trump's defense team will cross-examine. This is their moment. This is where they try to destroy Cohen's credibility and create reasonable doubt. They'll be aggressive. They'll be relentless. They'll go after every inconsistency, every lie Cohen has told in the past. The cross-examination could last days. If they can make Cohen look like a vengeful liar, they might create enough doubt to get an acquittal. But if Cohen holds up under cross-examination, if his core testimony remains consistent and credible, Trump's chances of avoiding conviction drop precipitously. After Cohen's testimony concludes, the defense will present its case. But Trump himself almost certainly won't testify. He's too unpredictable, too likely to incriminate himself, too vulnerable to devastating cross-examination. Once both sides rest, the jury will deliberate. 12 ordinary citizens from Manhattan will determine whether the former president of the United States is guilty of felony crimes. It's an extraordinary moment in American history. And here's the critical point. Trump can't control the outcome. He can't intimidate the jury. He can't fire them. They'll base their decision on the evidence and the law. And if they believe Michael Cohen, they'll convict. The courtroom is on a break right now. Michael Cohen has testified. The prosecution has laid out its case. Trump is sitting in the defendant's chair, watching his former fixer dismantle his defense piece by piece. This isn't just another Trump scandal. This is a criminal trial that could result in the first conviction of a former president in American history. The testimony happening right now, Michael Cohen's first-hand account of Trump's criminal conduct, is the most consequential evidence in this entire case. When court resumes, Cohen will continue testifying. The defense will cross-examine him. They'll try to discredit him. But they can't change the documents. They can't erase the checks Trump signed. They can't explain away the paper trail that corroborates everything Cohen is saying. The walls aren't just closing in on Donald Trump. They've already closed. The question now is whether the jury will deliver a verdict that holds him accountable. Whether 12 ordinary citizens will look at the evidence, listen to Michael Cohen's testimony, and decide that no one, not even a former president, is above the law. This story isn't over. The testimony will continue. The cross-examination will be brutal. The closing arguments will be dramatic, and the jury's verdict will be historic. Stay informed. Pay attention to what comes out of that courtroom, because what's happening right now isn't just about Donald Trump. It's about whether our justice system can hold the most powerful people accountable. It's about whether truth matters. It's about whether crimes committed in pursuit of political power will be punished or excused. Michael Cohen is on the stand. Donald Trump is in the defendant's chair, and the outcome of this trial will determine whether justice is truly blind or whether some people really are too powerful to prosecute. The next move will be critical, and it's happening right now.